Well, we broke the front drive shaft on the first test run. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're back here with Ross and we're working on his Jeep. So we're installing the Iron Rock long arms right now. We're measuring up. Really big tip that I want to give you guys and that I gave Ross and he agrees with me. Do these flex joints like a day before you plan on installing the long arms. And you're gonna need how many, like an hour? No, not an hour.
I was doing
like 3 hours?
2.5, 3 hours, yeah.
3 hours just to put all the joints together. But he does have front and rear. These do take some time, and you do need an inch-pound torque wrench. Don't use the big ones. I messed up and I stripped out one or two, but
So did I.
yeah, I told you too. I gave you the warning. So right now we're measuring. I recommend also going off of the Iron Rock recommendations for the lengths, which are right here. This is what I used on my Jeep. Before it actually gave you a 4-inch and then a 6-inch difference, but now it's just one size. I do recommend starting with that though. If you're on 4 inches, I think that should be pretty much it, and then you could always adjust more. Since he does have the front and rear, here's the front and here's the rear. You see where the angle is? It's closer to the joint right here, versus on this one it's more towards the middle. That is for the front. The bend that's closer to the bushing right here is for the rear. And then you got one curved skinny one. This is for the front as well on the driver's side, the upper control arm. And for the rear, they are pretty much straight, a little bend right here. And that's how you tell that these are for the rear. And Ross, do you think for this project, do you need an extra person or can you do it yourself?
I would highly recommend an extra person. Getting that subframe for the rear is just, it's not a fun task.
And the front too. I mean, you kind of need 2 people. This is a 2-person job. So make sure you have a buddy.
Yep.
If you don't, get one off of Craigslist. And you definitely want to start like either doing the front first or the rear. We're doing the rear first because that one's a little bit harder. The front just bolts up to the stock mounting locations, and the rear you have to drill out. And right now we got the plate in, so we're gonna attach the arms and then hopefully move on to the front. All right, so we're installing the upper long arms now. What we're gonna do is lift it from the front side right here to angle the axle up. That way those kind of like fall in place. But here's something interesting that I noticed. Ross said that the Jeep was driving pretty bad on the road. And one thing I noticed, kind of hard to see, but look at that hole, it's wallowed out, so it's not even straight. So even if you replace the A-arm, it still wouldn't be solid, you know? It'd still be moving around. So good thing he's going long arms. As you can see, it worked. It's like almost lined up. So a tip to get the holes aligned is you can use ratchet straps. We put it onto the new mount here and just pulled it forward just to line up the hole. And that worked out really well. And here is another great tip. For all these joints, they have the grease fitting, and you want to make sure that they're pointing down so you can access them once the vehicle is on the ground. Big important step right there. All right, so we got the bolts in on both sides. Yep. And now we can move on to the lowers before tightening those. So we got the rear all set up. That is squared away, good to go. It's gonna go to 4-wheel parts to get aligned, you know, to get it properly measured out. But now we're moving down to the front. We took off the cross member mount and put in a new transmission bushing. And now we're doing the outer pieces. You have to put these on first before putting this center piece here. So we're gonna put those on, drill these holes out, tighten the outer bolts. We're gonna put on the cross member. It goes like underneath right here in this area, and then we can tighten everything up. All right, so we got both of the outer mounts in. And right here, you do have to put in, what are they called? The
nut plates.
Nut plate through this hole and kind of angle it this way. I suggest, because they're at an angle, so they go like this, across and then back down, put it that way. Don't put the angle on this side or else you're gonna struggle a lot. And then also have some with small, like skinny fingers, that way you can kind of like push it in. I do this one first, and then with the bolt, I kind of turn them out and get this one in place. And that's pretty much it. So we got those on, and then the nuts, the bolts with the washer already on it, those go on the inside, but we're gonna add the middle plate now, and then tie in the new transmission mount. Well, I didn't record us installing any of this because obviously I have videos on that already, but we are gonna go over tips on how to make this easier, because Ross used some of my tips and didn't use all of them, and the ones that I did tell him made his whole life easier working on this Jeep. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten this up and then talk about the experience. All right, guys, so as you can tell, we're pretty beat up. He kind of took a little shower. But the Jeep is done. You can see the rear long arm already. And man, that wasn't bad. That wasn't a bad install.
It wasn't as bad as it looks.
Yeah, so it's my second install. of long arms, my first of the rear, his first long arms ever. Yeah, so definitely have a partner. What are some things that you recommend? Some of the tips that I gave you, you know?
Wait to drill until you have your second help.
Yes, so that's especially for the rear, because there's no like guides. You just have to put it up and make the holes.
Take the wheel on that.
Yeah, so definitely have a second person so you can align it, since it's one piece from left to right on the rear forelink. So make sure you have someone else, that way you can make sure it's in the middle. So once you get those mounts on, pretty simple, you know, just everything bolts up, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Everything bolts up. You just got to make sure. We recommend you using the Iron Rock specs, because that's going to give you a good approximate length for the control arms, especially if you're on 4-inch. If you're on 6-inch, you might have to adjust a little bit more, but for the 4-inch, it's perfect, huh? Perfect. Pretty much right. We still have to check out the angles. We're just going to take it to a shot for that, because we're not professionals. We're backyard mechanics. Now for the front bolts up pretty easy. What do you recommend on the front for the cross member?
PB blast everything.
PB blast everything on the Jeep. Oh, start a week before, and like every day, give it a little blast on every bolt. That's something I told him to do.
Didn't do it.
Didn't do it on every bolt.
Didn't do it at all.
The bolts that he didn't do on was really hard to remove, right?
Oh, yeah.
Really hard to remove. So definitely PB blast everything. What's another tip I gave you?
Get the upper control arm bushing for the diff.
Get the upper control arm bushing for the front axle side. You're gonna want to upgrade it. Get the Iron Rock flex joint or a Johnny joint. Johnny joint you don't have to build, you just press it in. The Iron Rock, you do have to build it. Doesn't take too long. But when you're doing a long arm kit, because it requires so many of those joints, what do you recommend there?
Definitely build your joints before you even start doing anything else.
Before you start taking anything apart, right?
Absolutely.
And then Iron Rock recommends check all the hardware. Make sure you have all the hardware first before you even take anything apart. Make sure you have all the hardware, because they are a small mom and pop shop. Mistakes do happen. Even like for my business, NajarOffroad.com, I make mistakes too, and I fix them. If you guys email me, message me. So that's definitely something you have to make. Yeah, make sure you have everything. And talking about the hardware stuff, what did you lose?
I lost 3 of the Zerks.
3 of the grease fittings. Make sure you don't lose those. Those are important. And a big tip on those, make sure they're pointing down. Make sure they're pointing in a way that it's accessible so you can actually grease it. So if it's not, either tighten it up more or turn the joint just like half a spin. That way they're pointing down and you can actually fill them up with grease. Now, you didn't drive your Jeep much before the long arms, but now that you have the long arms on, we went on the little bump right now.
I did not feel a single thing.
It just eats through the bumps, right?
Yeah.
And I went on the same bump. I only have the front long arms, not the rear. The front eats the bump, and the rear, you just like hear it like bang. So definitely do a front and rear long arm. I think that's like, if you can afford it, do it. If not, just do the front long arms at a minimum. If you're going 4 inches, even at 3 inches, you can install the front and rear long arm. You do need to cut out your exhaust though. You do need the Iron Rock exhaust, right?
Absolutely, get the Iron Rock exhaust.
Yes.
Or you're gonna be in my position.
Yeah, cat only. Let's see. So if you don't have the Iron Rock exhaust, you're gonna have to cut off your muffler and at least leave it there where the cat is, if your state requires it. But I mean, it honestly sounds really good. Let's go ahead and turn it on, Ross. Let's see what it sounds like. That sounds good, man. This is the 6-cylinder too.
It is.
Has a nice growl.
Better than I anticipated.
So the Jeep is almost done, almost 100%. Where are you going to? Why are you building this Jeep?
We are going to Sand Hollow on the 22nd, and I just didn't want to be the one who breaks everything on the way out there.
Yeah, and they're taking 2 WJs, so that's dope. I got invited, but I can't go, unfortunately. I had plans already, but I mean, that's it, man. Pretty much good to go. We have to cut off the mounts for the control arms in the front, but it's Rock Link equipped. Sheesh. So we're gonna see the long arms. We shouldn't be testing it. We haven't cut out the mounts. Let's see. Go more my way. Let's see the flex on that. Oh yeah, sway bar's connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna flex with the sway bars connected.
Oh, it's not?
No, not really. The rear, you can kind of see it. I think you need some lockers, dude.
I think I need some lockers.
Put him. Oh, you're in Fort Low?
Yeah.
Go. You hear that noise?
What is that?
That's the front drive shaft.
Oh, did I break it?
That's the front drive shaft.
Did I break it already? Stuff that ass!
Yeah.
I
Not bad.
The front drive shaft.
The front drive shaft's gone, dude. Well, we broke the front drive shaft on the first test run. It's bound to happen if you have the Rezepa, so upgrade to a double card in. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
See you guys on the next.
It's in the garage. Gonna get it in.
It's in the garage. We got to put it on, but that's it for today's video. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.